Am I the a-hole for excluding my stepson from family trip? My stepson Kevin and I have known each other for 18 years. He's 30, and I never hesitated to adopt him because he was just the same as my other two sons. However, after he became 18, he started a new wave treatment. He'd constantly ask me to do things for him and tell me I'm one mistake away from him disowning me if I don't cater to his requests. I've helped with so much, but now that he's older, has his own family and lives hours away, we established a cordial relationship and no longer use the "you don't do this, I disown you" line. We wanted to go on a family trip to a beach resort. Before we left, Kevin contacted me saying he wanted to go with the family, but didn't have money to pay for his family. I said everyone was required to pay for themselves, not just him. He said his mom will pay. His mom said she won't pay, but wanted me to indirectly contact him and insist to pay for his family with his own money. I told him that, and he asked me to pay. Then he or mom would repay me later. My children will claim that I'm forcing them to pay while I'm paying for Kevin, and I just sent him an email informing him of my final decision, that he either pay or not go. I got no response from him. We went on the trip, and he called my number and was very, very angry. I told him I'd given him enough time to figure something out, but he claimed I didn't give him any options, and refused to help and pay even when he said he'd repay me or get his mom to. I explained why I couldn't pay for his family, and the favoritism and drama this would bring. He said it seemed like I was punishing him for how he treated me years ago, but I told him I treat all children equally, never played favorites on either side, thus refusing to pay for him and the other children. He complained I don't consider him family, and he and his wife were incredibly hurt by being excluded, and that implied he'd consider disowning me. But I respectfully told him to fly a kite and disown me, because I don't care anymore. He's an adult that can make whatever decision he wanted, but also as an adult, he's gotta live with his decision. He hasn't talked to me in a week. His mom says that I should have taken this opportunity to strengthen my relationship with Kevin, but now I've brought it back to how it was years ago, saying I should have paid for his family to come since I have the money, and just hide it from my other children. I told her what kind of message that sent to my other children who are 21 and 24 but still had to pay. I guarantee you, Kevin would have bragged about going on the trip for free. She's suggesting that I call and apologize to try and salvage my relationship, especially since I've brought this upon myself. I lashed out at her asking what kind of mess-up family dynamics this is, basically buying his love and acceptance for how long? I ended the conversation right then, but I keep getting told I shouldn't be surprised if Kevin cuts contact or worse. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your wife and stepson are a doozy though. I really don't need to list why Kevin is an a-hole in this situation as it is clearly written out. Your wife, however, is in the same boat. Not only did she want you to tell him no, she then insisted you were wrong and should have paid? She cannot have her cake and eat it too. I feel like Opie's wife spoiled the stepson before she got married, and continued to enable the behavior until it turned him into a spoiled adult. Yeah, two words that should not be able to go together, spoiled and adult. Not an a-hole, but Kevin is. He's grown and you're not responsible for him or his family. If he cuts contact, you've not really lost anything. Indeed. I think I could be wrong for not giving him more options and helped him to come. But this whole trip would have turned in drama-filled situation if my sons knew I paid for Kevin to come. He's 30 years old with a family. He should be able to figure out other options that don't involve your money. His mother wasn't even going to pay for him, and both of them turned to you. Why isn't he angry with his mother for not coming up with other options? Because you are a convenient scapegoat, and you need to understand this. He will cut off contact with you until he needs something else. You will not be rid of him forever. I mean, is him going no contact really a threat, or is it a gift at this point? Also, rethink your marriage. Not a a-hole. She literally said I won't pay, then got mad dad wouldn't pay, then made him tell her son this for her? Excuse me? You are right, that absolutely would have infuriated your two kids. The favoritism would be off the chain. Seems like Kevin is used to preferential treatment, so equal treatment seems sad or oppressive. Honestly, he's a grown man. If he wanted to go on vacation, he could have saved up for it. He made his own bed, and him and his mom can sleep in it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my 25 female stepsister 30 female she is a fool to think my sister 23 female would ever want a relationship with her? After my mom died, my dad remarried another woman who already had a daughter of her own. Honestly, me and my siblings weren't too keen on the idea of our dad marrying again, but it was ultimately his decision to make, so we chose to stay out of it. Our stepmom isn't that bad. We aren't close, but we don't have any bad blood between us either. Her daughter Sue, on the other hand, is an absolute nightmare. She is a spoiled and entitled brat, who for some reason would target my sister Aurelia. Aurelia has a short temper and doesn't usually put up with anyone's BS, so she'll try her best to keep her distance from Sue because she'll drive her off the edge to the point where she snaps. I warned her multiple times that she better quit Sid, and that I don't tolerate divas like her. She wouldn't even acknowledge anything I'd say and brush it off, which would really annoy me. I don't care if she doesn't want to have a relationship with us. The least she could do is be polite. There were so many occasions where Sue would make Aurelia feel terrible. She'd call her a banshee, a Grinch, and tell her she looked like she crawled out of a graveyard. That was deeply hurtful, and it caused plenty of insecurities to come along the road for Aurelia, despite my effort to tell her that none of that was true. Sue was a tough child, and you'd literally have to waste every nerve just to get her to listen, so obviously discipline didn't do much, and they gave up on it entirely. Now Aurelia is doing great. She has moved to Australia and she lives with her boyfriend. Me and my siblings will call her on a daily basis as we are extremely close with one another. Sue has dropped out of college and lives with a friend. My stepmom and dad cut contact with her because of personal issues I won't be addressing in this post. Sue has recently tried to reach out to Aurelia, even though Aurelia has made it clear that Sue is dead to her, and their so-called relationship has dipped down a drain a long time ago. Sue wouldn't take no as an answer and turned to me for advice because apparently she doesn't see what she had done wrong to cause Aurelia to despise her so much. I replied saying that she had zero self-awareness, and I had little to no sympathy for her. She was a fool to think that Aurelia would ever want a relationship with her. I told her that she made her bed and had to lay in it. You reap what you sow after all, right? She started crying and hung up, and made a long post on Facebook about how she was seen as the screw-up, and that of course Aurelia will forever maintain her position as the golden child. I feel like nay. After all, that was a bit too harsh and overboard. But I'm not sure. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I'm not sure what she expected, but you were upfront and honest with her rather than lying. Just because you're step-siblings, you're not required to have a relationship. Not the a-hole. Sounds like she finally got the truth she needed to hear and didn't like it. Not the a-hole. Sue harassed and bullied Aurelia for years, but never felt a bit of guilt for it. Aurelia cut her out completely, which is to be expected. Sue reaches out to Aurelia and is surprised that Aurelia won't restore contact. Sue, being the bull she was and still is, refuses to accept no and ask you for advice. You told Sue the truth about her behavior and that Aurelia will never have a relationship with her. Sue doesn't like that. Too bad. It's what she earned. Don't be Sue's Facebook friend anymore or talk to her at all. She's still toxic. Not the a-hole. You just stated the truth on the situation to her. You might have been a bit harsh, but she clearly hasn't listened in the past. It has caused this to happen. However, your stepsister right now might be dealing with a lot and feeling she's being pushed out for no reason. Maybe you should speak to her family and ask to sit her down, then tell her all the things she's done and needs to make up for. Obviously not all at once, and probably not right now. Let her calm down, and that's all I can suggest. I'm sorry for the situation you're in. Hope things get solved sooner than later for you. I've made many attempts to try and have her open up to us. Aurelia even recommended she goes to therapy for heaven's sake. However, she refused. I think the straw that broke the camel's back was when Sue got into a massive fight with Aurelia that she said, "You're nothing, do you understand? You're a worthless piece of crap that serves no purpose whatsoever to any of us." The fight resulted into Sue being grounded for a month, and Aurelia crying and having a meltdown. She didn't come out of her room for the rest of the night, and I've never been so concerned for her well-being. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to be my friend's baby's godfather after I was given a legally binding contract to sign with requirements attached? Short story is, my wife is from another country, and we met a couple in which the husband's wife is from the same country. We are great friends for almost 9 years now, done a lot together, best friends hands down. The husband has no family alive / that talks to him, and the wife obviously only has the husband as her family here in the US. Well, the wife is pregnant with a baby girl. For sake of conversation, we will call her Jane. The husband asked me if I could be Jane's godfather. To note, they're Catholic. I was honored. My friend was thrilled, and the next day, he dropped off an envelope with some papers in it. After he left, I looked and it was a legal contract that I needed to sign in order to be the godfather. Obviously, I thought it was a bit overboard, but gave it a read anyways. It has many things I must do as a godfather, such as I must go to every Catholic event in which Jane attends, such as christening, confession, confirmation, etc., which I know are normal events for a Catholic child's life. Not a big deal. Then we get into ridiculous things. I have to consider becoming Catholic. I must give a gift of at least $500 for each of these events. And on birthday / Christmas, gifts must be cash only and over $250. Oh no, it gets worse. I am expected to save at least $25,000 over Jane's 18 years and set it aside for Jane's future college tuition. Her parents will provide the rest. Seriously? The list goes on to include various things, such as being willing to cancel any plans I have if they need me to watch Jane or if they go on vacation. Apparently Jane can't go. Many of the other things on the list were silly or not a big deal, like spending time with her once a week. I called my friend and said it was nothing personal, but there was no way I would sign it. He got mad and said I am the only family they got and should be thankful and honored to be asked. I told him I was honored, but the rules were extreme and ridiculous, especially when it comes to the money involved. He brought up that he knows I'm godfather to a niece I have, and I send her money, which I do. I give her $100 a year. In her country, that's a ton of money. I told him there's a big difference between $100 and tens of thousands over 18 years. He essentially told me he thought I was a good guy, but it was apparent that I was selfish. He has since blocked my number and my email. His wife has too. Mind you, his wife and mine talked nearly every day. Since he ended things, I shredded the papers he gave me and left them in a bag and put it in his mailbox for him, telling him it was a shame he ruined a friendship over ridiculous demands. I told him I forgive him regardless. Lastly, I will note together this couple makes almost $200,000 a year. My wife and I make not even $35,000 a year. So am I the a-hole for refusing to be Jane's godfather? Added information below. I should add that while I don't know what the wife's involvement in the contract was, many people that come from her country tend to be married to, let's say, wealthier men here. So they tend to live lavish lives and spend a lot on their kids. Some tend to also look down on small gifts. For example, if you don't have a Michael Kors purse, they judge you. So maybe the money thing was the wife's idea. If someone wants to spend a ton of money, that's up to them. But I don't want to spend a ton of money on a child that isn't even mine. At least not $25,000. Now for the comments. Haha, wait, you're serious? Not the a-hole. Sounds like they think you're a sucker and want to use you as a free ATM machine. They want you to pony up at least $25,000 for future college fund? No. They want you to just pay for their kid while they can spend their own money on whatever they want. True. The wife does buy a lot of expensive stuffs and is full of herself at times. Not the a-hole. Putting $25,000 away for a child's college tuition that isn't even yours is a huge ask. I've never heard of a godparent giving so much money at every event, and they really shouldn't be surprised that you didn't go through with it. Most people wouldn't be able to handle that financial burden, and they're going to learn that the hard way. I'm sorry that this situation ruined your friendship, and hopefully they'll see how much of a selfish a-hole they're being. Yeah, usually parents or the child figure out the college thing later. It isn't my problem. Not the a-hole. Holy cow! This may be a serious cultural difference, but how in the world are you supposed to save that amount of money for someone else's kid? That's just a crazy demand. And the whole thing is completely out of whack with societal norms. Putting the shredded thing in his mailbox was an a-hole move on your part, and certainly didn't help calm things down. But you are not being selfish. You are being realistic. For them to put financial demands on your family like this shows an incredible lack of awareness on their part. There is no way you could be her godfather. Not unless you want your life dictated by this rule. I remember my grandmother would give me $100 savings bonds every Christmas for my future. $25,000 though? No. I do agree shredding it wasn't the best idea. Especially if they ever decide to apologize and want to be friends again. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my dad's wife to refer to me by name or as her bonus kid in interviews? Just joined Reddit to get some perspective on this. I'm 29 female and my parents divorced when I was 15. My dad remarried when I was 20, and his new wife, Laura, is a sort of famous radio profile in our country. Laura is occasionally interviewed by newspapers or other media, and she's often asked about her home and love life, which would be normal and perfectly fine, if not for how she consistently refers to myself and my older siblings by our full names and as her bonus kids. Problem is, our last name is unique. If you meet a person with that last name, then that person is 100% related to us. We are, in short, extremely easy to find, which makes this doubly uncomfortable. I've had people contact me on Facebook asking if I know Laura, or what it's like to live with her, and all kinds of outright invasive questions. My sister has looked up the law on name changes to see if she can take our grandmother's maiden name just to avoid all of this. And I'm considering taking my fiancé's name when I get married. Laura always had a habit of acting like our mom, which is frustrating and annoying at best, and downright insulting at worst, since our mom is very much alive and in our lives. My sister and I always said we were uncomfortable with that, and Laura never listened. After the first interview, we told her also that we didn't want to be referred to as her bonus kids, because we're adults and don't like to be referred to like we're kids. Laura still doesn't listen, and I'm fed up. I've moved to a different country fairly recently, and I've stopped talking to Laura at all. I still talk to my dad, and he has been reproachful about how I won't talk to his wife. I've told him that if she stops mentioning our names in interviews, and stops acting like we're her 10-year-old babies, I'll talk to her. It's not unreasonable to not want my privacy broken, and I don't really feel guilty. But am I the a-hole for not wanting her to keep doing this or for not talking to her? Not the a-hole. But personally, I would have started answering all those fans' questions after she didn't listen the first time. Hell, I'd have started a YouTube channel and started calling her out and giving out her personal activities. This right here. Oh yes, I know Laura. You can reach her at... Not the a-hole. You tried telling her and she didn't listen, so that's on her. Your request is reasonable as it's having real-life consequences and affecting your personal life. Not the a-hole. But damn, step-parents can't win. If they don't acknowledge their step-kids like they acknowledge their bio-kids, it's an issue. And if they do, it's an issue. I'm sure she annoys her bio-kids as well, and she's just trying to share the annoyance, lol. You have a right to privacy, but I can't imagine getting cut off for wanting to shout out my step-kids that I'm probably proud of. I wish she had married into a family with kids that appreciate her for the quirky person she is. Not the a-hole. The petty/malicious/vindictive part of me would call her up during her radio show and let her whole fan base know she's ignoring your wishes to not be mentioned. Sounds like you're not in the US. Can you send her a cease and desist letter? And don't even say who you are, Opie. Just be like, hey, I'm curious why you keep referring to your bonus kids by their full names when they've asked you to stop. Chances are she'll recognize your voice and figure out what's up, but then you can just play dumb. Of course, this would pretty much torpedo the relationship, at least for the time being, but boy would it be satisfying. It's up to you whether or not it's worth it. Lol. Am I the a-hole for exposing my ex-fiance's mistress 12 years later? 12 years ago, I, 36 female, was engaged and about to get married to Carl, fake name. Everything in my life seemed perfect until I found out my fiancé was having an affair with a new hire at his job named Camilla, 20s female. Both of them were in serious relationships at a time. I broke off the engagement with Carl as soon as I found out and informed Camilla's boyfriend about the cheating. It was hard for me, but I moved on after months of therapy and the support of my friends and family. Now, I am married to Henry, 41 male, my amazing husband and the father of our children, 9 female, 7 male, and 4 female. Years ago, I moved to the other side of the country and never thought about my ex-fiancé or the cheating again. My husband works at a law firm. Last year, they hired a new lawyer, Daniel, 34 male, who moved with his family to live in our area. He and my husband became very good friends, as they have similar interests and personalities. Henry asked me to invite Daniel's family to our house to help them adjust to the new city and his new job. When Daniel came to my house for a play date for our kids, his kids are 4 male and 2 female, he introduced us to his wife, Cam, 30s female. Well, Cam was Camilla. I didn't know how to react when I recognized her, and I had the impression that she recognized me too. Our husbands didn't understand why everything seemed so tense, and we both pretended not to know each other, making awkward and failed attempts at small talk. After about an hour, Camilla made up an excuse and her family left. Henry noticed my behavior and asked me what was going on. I told him everything. He already knew about my past with Carl and the affair. Later that day, I received a text from Camilla begging me not to tell Daniel about our past. I read the message but didn't reply. I decided not to say anything and to mind my own business. This was not my problem anymore. After a week of silence, Daniel showed up at our doorstep looking very agitated. He talked to my husband alone, and afterward, Henry asked me to tell Daniel my version of everything. Like my husband, Daniel realized something strange had happened during our meeting and had spent the week trying to get answers from his wife. She refused to tell him what happened, and instead tried to claim that I was her ex-boyfriend's side chick, which was why things had been so tense. Daniel didn't believe her story, and they had a massive fight. Afterward, he realized I was the one who could tell him the truth, and he asked me directly. I told him everything. I even showed him the text message Camilla had sent me. I didn't feel the need to sugarcoat anything, especially since Camilla was out there spreading lies about me. Daniel was in complete shock because cheating is a trigger for him. His father cheated on his mother for years and left the family for his mistress, which made him hate cheaters. Camilla had known this since their first date. Daniel left our house looking defeated, and later that same day, I received a call from Camilla accusing me of being a vengeful bee. She said I was trying to destroy her life. I don't think I was wrong for telling the truth, but this happened last year, and I still receive calls and random messages from people close to Camilla saying I'm an a-hole for exposing her past to her husband. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You told the truth after she told lies. Did she expect you to go along with what she said so you could be the bad guy for as long as your husband and Daniel are workmates? I don't know what she was thinking. I have no reason to lie to cover her. This is a perfect example of F around and find out. She didn't think her poor choices from the past would come back to haunt her. She deserves what comes. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You are the hero of this story. Actions have consequences. You did nothing wrong. It merely stated facts and truth about what happened between Camilla and your ex-fiancé. It would have been wrong for you to lie to Daniel as he deserved to know the truth to make an informed end decision. If it were you, I'm sure you would have wanted the same consideration, as I know I definitely would have. Text Camilla, sorry to hear about you and Daniel, but hey, maybe you and Carl can get something going again. Funny thing is that after our engagement broke off, she did try to date Carl and he kicked her to the curb. I heard this from mutual friends. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my ex-best friend and other friends even after 6 years? I, 28 female, used to be best friends with Anna, 28 female, since high school. She was popular and outgoing, while I was the introverted, nerdy friend. In high school, I had a crush on Ethan, 28 male, but I assumed he'd prefer Anna, so I stayed out of it. They started dating and I supported her reluctantly because of their toxic on and off relationship. Over time, I grew to dislike Ethan because he was rude and mean. They broke up when we were 21 but got back together a year later and eventually got engaged when we were 23. 3 months before the wedding, Ethan drunkenly called me, asking why I rejected him. I dismissed him, told him he was drunk, and ended the call. The very next day, I was kicked out of group chats and ghosted by everyone in our friend circle. When I texted my friends to ask what happened, they gave me the silent treatment. When I reached out to Anna, I found myself blocked. Desperate, I even tried calling Ethan, but my number was blocked too. I had no idea what I'd done wrong and wished someone would tell me. That week was hell. Anna's silence hurt the most because, at a time, she meant everything to me. I barely slept, battling panic attacks at night while trying to keep it together for class during the day. If not for my supportive roommates who helped me through my panic attacks, I don't know how I would have made it through. Anna and I attended the same local university but took different courses. I waited for her outside her class. When she came out with her friends, I pulled her aside and asked what was going on. She accused me of being a fake friend who tried to steal Ethan. I denied her accusation and asked for proof, but she went silent and walked away. They didn't unfriend me on Facebook but kept posting about their hangouts in a bridal shower, along with indirect jabs at me. I eventually deleted my old account and changed my number. I slowly rebuilt my self-esteem and moved on. I recently created a new Facebook account. A few days ago, I was added to a group chat for our upcoming reunion which I had known about. They greeted me, calling me class president, as if they hadn't shunned me 6 years ago. I left the group, but they kept messaging me. Anna kept calling, so I finally picked up out of annoyance. She told me she was sorry for everything and wanted me to come to the class reunion party. She said a party didn't seem complete without the class president there every year. She also told me she divorced Ethan after 2 years of marriage. She said she had tried to reach out to me but couldn't find any of my socials or contact info after we graduated. I asked her why she was telling me all this when she wasn't important to me anymore. She cried. I ended the call and continued ignoring their messages on Messenger. My family says forgiveness is for my own peace and that it doesn't mean forgetting. But I don't feel anything anymore, only indifference. I don't owe them anything to ease their guilt. So am I the a-hole? 3 months before the wedding, Ethan drunkenly called me asking why I rejected him. You know what happened, right? Ethan wanted to date you, but Anna told him you rejected his interest, so he dated her. And him calling you made her feel threatened that her shady actions might be found out, so she then made up more lies that turned other friends against you. Now it's been long enough, and Ethan is no longer around that she feels safe bringing you around again, so she hit you up. Odds are others told her to reach out because y'all were such good friends. And if you refuse to go, she'll tell them something that makes you look bad as your reason. Regardless of whether you go or not, I'd contact someone who will be there and tell them that you won't attend because of the horrible way Anna treated you, and that you just wanted someone to know the truth, so that Anna can't lie about you yet again. Don't go if you don't want to, but don't let her get away with lying about you again. It's been 6 years and I know I've healed and found better friends. My current best friends are the roommates who supported me during university. But why does it still hurt? Despite everything, I always believed my friendship with Anna was genuine. Honestly, I doubt she even cares. She probably only reached out because she needed something from me. I have no interest in being friends with them anymore, but I just want to know the truth. If I ask why they abandoned me back then, would they even be honest? Or would they just shift the blame onto each other? Anna's always been the leader of their group. Whatever she says, everyone follows. Last story. Update. How can someone who isn't invited to a wedding be considered responsible for giving a gift? Original post. I would appreciate any advice or suggestions on how to approach this situation. I'll change the names of those involved. I have a group of friends, though not all of them are truly close to me. Most of them are more friends by association, but we all go out together and have a good time. I do consider Maddie and Jessie to be real friends. For Maddie's birthday, I got her a cake. Jessie had a small civil wedding, and Maddie offered to bring wine for the celebration at her place while I offered to bring a cake. There's a girl in a group named Carly, and my relationship with her is neither friendly nor unfriendly. She's always shown some apathy toward me, and I know she doesn't really like me. I don't dislike her, but I get the sense we wouldn't be friends since we have different perspectives. During the celebration, Carly commented that she liked the cake, and Jessie mentioned that I had brought it. Carly said it was good, but tasted a bit dry. Everyone exchanged looks and changed the subject, but Carly kept talking about the cake. I didn't say anything about it. Carly had been planning her wedding before Jessie got married. She used to invite Maddie, Jessie, and other girls to discuss prices and ask for opinions, but she never asked for my help or advice. I assumed I wasn't going to be invited. Everyone else got an invitation, and I wasn't surprised when I didn't receive one. Jessie wanted to talk to Carly about it, but I asked her not to, as I didn't want a pity invitation and understood that Carly wouldn't invite me because we're not friends. Jessie told me she wouldn't attend if it would make me feel bad, but I told her not to worry about it. Then, Carly messaged me on WhatsApp to ask about cake designs and filling options. I thought she already had that figured out since her wedding was coming up and she'd been planning it for a while. I sent her the catalog, and she commented on a few options she liked. She asked if I did a setup, to which I replied yes and sent her some sample photos. She only reacted to the photos with a thumbs up, and we didn't talk any further. She didn't ask for a quote or schedule a consultation, so I assumed she wasn't interested in my services. This was over a month ago. Today we went out to eat and everyone was talking about the wedding. Her fiancé asked who I'd be bringing. I'm single, so I told him I wouldn't be attending. He asked why, and to keep the mood light and avoid drama, I mentioned I'd be traveling to visit my parents. He understood, but Carly asked me when I was leaving. I told her I'd be leaving on Wednesday, and she said, "The wedding's on Saturday. How are you going to set up the cake and desserts?" I asked which cake she was referring to, and she replied, "The one you're bringing to my wedding." I told her we didn't have anything scheduled, and she insisted she had our messages. I clarified that I had only given her options and set up photos, and since she didn't follow up, I assumed she wasn't interested. Her fiancé asked if anything could be done about it. I explained that the bakery requires a contract and a deposit. Maddie asked if Carly had paid a deposit or requested a contract. Carly replied, asking why she would need to, since it was my wedding gift to her, and that I should make sure she had her cake for Saturday. I explained that I don't handle the bakery schedule, and that with the wedding so close, they wouldn't accept a new order. Carly seemed upset and looked very uncomfortable. I asked for my bill, paid, and said goodbye, saying I needed to go. I really don't want to lose my friendship with the group, since I'm not from this city and have felt uncomfortable with them. I don't want to create tension, but I also don't know how to handle conflicts. I know it's a bit sad that I can't stand up for myself and would rather avoid confrontation. Maddie told me that after I left, Carly said it wasn't fair for me to back out after agreeing, and some people in the group hinted that maybe I didn't want to go to the wedding because I didn't want to give her the cake. Jessie said I wasn't invited, and Carly replied that she had invited me. Now for the top comments before reading the update. It's not okay for her to expect a gift, especially a big cake, from someone she didn't even invite to her wedding. You were right to tell her you hadn't agreed to make the cake. It makes sense that you wouldn't want to give something so big to someone who doesn't seem to like you very much. And especially for me to give her that gift when we don't even have a relationship. Message all your friends and Carly in a group chat and clearly state that she didn't invite you. And for future interactions, there is nothing wrong to say that you haven't been invited when you haven't been invited. Update. I read a comment suggesting this is how updates are done here, so I hope those who gave me advice and asked for an update can see this. To those who ask why I didn't stand up for myself and let things get so out of hand, as I mentioned before, I don't like confronting people. I get nervous and feel like I can't breathe. When I had presentations in school, I used to throw up before and after each one. Sometimes, I've even kept items I didn't order or didn't want, because I was too embarrassed to exchange them. I've been in therapy, and thanks to that, I'm now able to work as a cashier in a bakery. I don't think I could have done that before. I've come a long way, but I still get nervous speaking in public. I have a younger sister who used to go everywhere with me. I'd give her the money and she would pay, because just talking to the cashier would leave me breathless. I know people often feel sorry for those who seem weak, and I don't want to be seen that way or treated condescendingly. Someone sent me a private message asking about our ages. I'm 21, Maddie's 30, Carly's 30, Anna's 31, Carly's fiancé's 31, and Jesse's 30. I hope that helps clarify things. Now here's what happened next. Someone suggested what I could say to Carly and I sent it to her. She replied, saying she thought I wouldn't mind and that I owed her a gift anyway, so she had chosen the cake as her gift. I replied that only guests are responsible for giving gifts. She asked what I meant, and I clarified that she hadn't invited me to the wedding. She left me on read. I messaged her fiancé something like, I don't want to cause drama or any misunderstandings, but I didn't commit to giving her the wedding cake. I sent him screenshots of our conversation, and he called me right away. He apologized and said he thought it was odd when Carly told him I had offered to give her the cake. I mentioned it seemed even stranger to me since I wasn't even invited. He asked if I was serious and I told him yes, but that I wasn't upset and understood if it was a private event. He apologized again and we ended the call. Around noon, Carly messaged me saying I was making a fuss over nothing, as if I couldn't just give her the damn cake. She didn't understand why I was being so sensitive, saying I'd given Maddie a cake and Jesse one as well, and asked me to explain why I couldn't do the same for her. I replied that Maddie's cake was a birthday cake, and although Jesse's was for her wedding, it wasn't a wedding cake. Carly answered that it didn't matter what the cake was for. I told her that if that was the case, she could buy one from the supermarket. She started typing, but I blocked her before the message came through. Carly then sent a message to the group chat sharing only the part where I told her to buy it at the supermarket, saying it was insulting and showed how little I valued her wedding. She claimed she was the victim to make sure no one thought she was the bad one. I responded to the group with a suggestion someone gave me in a comment, slightly adapted. Hey everyone, I want to clear up some confusion and rumors. I won't be attending the wedding because I didn't receive an invitation. I understood and made other plans for that time since the rest of you were invited. I'm not hurt or upset. It is what it is. The confusion about the cake is as baffling to me as it is to you. I only provided information on models and fillings from the place where I work, and that's all. I don't understand why it's expected that I cover a cake for a wedding I'm not invited to. It's true I suggested a supermarket, as she said the purpose of the cake didn't matter. I hope this clears everything up. I wish you all a wonderful time celebrating Carly and her fiancé. Congratulations in advance to the happy couple, and I hope those not involved don't feel caught in the middle. I posted screenshots of her reacting with a thumbs up when I sent the samples, along with all the conversations from that day and today. After a while, someone commented that the group wasn't meant for this kind of drama and that we should resolve it privately. Maddie jumped in and said, Carly demanded a cake in public, so it's only fair that everything is explained publicly. Another girl, Anna, commented, that's not the way to ask for a gift. Carly saw everything and sent a voice note saying she didn't know a simple cake would ruin my finances, but that it was fine, and that I shouldn't have shared everything in the chat. Then, she sent a second message saying that when I get married and don't have friends who can support me out with things from their jobs, I'll understand what it's like to be without support. A guy replied, tagging her, You didn't invite her? Carly responded, saying she had sent the invitation. Another guy asked, Do you have the confirmation? There was no reply. Question marks. Carly, No, but she should have told me when she saw she didn't get the invite. Jessie replied, saying she didn't like Carly's attitude, that she even considered not going, and would only attend for the fiancé's sake. Carly then said, So no one says I didn't invite you. Everyone can see here I'm inviting you now. I'll send an electronic invite since there is no point in printing one now. I replied not to bother, as I already had plans. Carly replied, There you all. See? Then, someone who hadn't spoken left the group.
Relationship advice. Update 2.
My female 33 fiancé male 34 found out I pay for my parents' health insurance and said they are financially abusing me. Original post. My fiancé male 34 and I, female 33, have been dating for 3 years and living together for 1. We've been loosely saving to buy a house, and about 2 weeks ago, we decided to sit through our finances and try to draw an actual plan to see if we could save money more consistently and whatnot. As expected, we had a few disagreements on what expenses we should cut, but nothing too big, until he found out I pay for my parents' healthcare insurance, and we have been fighting about it nonstop since then. His main point is that my parents don't need it since our country has universal healthcare, and if they wanted insurance, they could pay it themselves. Although this is true, the public healthcare system is known for being overcrowded, and it can take months until you see a doctor. My dad has diabetes and a heart condition, and I'm afraid he wouldn't get the help he needs fast enough. It's also true they could pay for it, but not without some sacrifice. They're very middle class, and they would probably anyway because my dad is the stoic type. His refusal to get insurance was the reason me and my brother decided to pay for it ourselves. Fiancé also argues that's unfair to spend so much money on them when we're trying to save everything we can for the house and is cutting all of his extra expenses. But the fact is that, even with insurance, I'm still saving more than him because I earn more. He thinks if I redirect this money to our savings, we could buy our house faster and with less sacrifice, which means he could keep some of the extra money he's putting on the house. I'd rather wait longer if I have to, if it means I can assure better care for my parents if they need it. Plus, that way I'd be paying for more than 2/3 of the house, and I already pay for most of our rent. He thinks I'm being selfish. I think he's being selfish. But what we've been arguing mostly about is he says my parents are taking advantage of me, that they're abusive and controlling of my money, and that I can't start a new family if I don't let go of them and cut the cord. I admit I'm close to my parents. I call them every couple of days, and I used to see them regularly before the pandemic, which fiancé says it proves I'm emotionally dependent on them. But they hardly ask me for money, and I don't pay for anything else except an occasional dinner. He's been sending me articles about helicopter parents and even brought up the time I lived with them as an adult for 2 years. They took me in when I had a major setback at 25 years old and lost my job. When I tell him I don't see that way, he keeps bringing up the fog, which apparently is the inability of abused people to see the acts of the abusers and such. My brother is on my side, but his friends says he's right. I was sure about this, but I don't know anymore. I admit he has some points. Is the fact that my parents don't need the money but I still feel like they do a sign of abuse? He's been also pointing some situations where I reached to them for advice or help as proof that I'm not grown up enough, and even suggested I go non-contact for a while. Not forever. I won't, but I'm starting to feel less inclined to talk to my parents after our arguments. Has anyone been in a situation like this? What did you do? Now for the top advice before reading the first update. I lived with them as an adult for 2 years. They took me in when I had a major setback at 25 years old and lost my job. Your parents had your back when you were in your toughest spot at age 25. That says everything about how much they should mean to you. Your fiancé is talking crazy talk telling you to go no contact with your parents. Plus, that way I'd be paying for more than 2/3 of the house and I already pay for most of our rent. The real issue is your fiancé feels less of an adult with your contributing more financially. I can't start a new family if I don't let go of them and cut the cord. Are you two planning to have children? Is your lifetime goal to have children? Because if you are blindsided by what your fiancé thinks about money, there may be other issues you are overlooking. If having children is your lifetime goal, I advise freezing your eggs to give you more options. The real issue is your fiancé feels less of an adult with your contributing more financially. Yet, he is prepared to allow her to contribute even more financially so that he doesn't have to contribute as much. Girl, this man wants all your money to go towards the savings. You already pay for everything. He wants all the money in the savings. Do not freaking do that. That's a huge setup. You make more than him. He wants the extra money in the joint account. You spend too much money. Do you not see what he's doing? Yikes. You have to watch your back with your husband, since you make more than him. Do you guys have a prenup? We're not married yet. We haven't discussed prenups or anything, but the house is going to be in both of our names. He didn't strike me as a gold digger. He's quite moderate in his spending. But they never do at first, do they? I'll keep that in mind and maybe talk about the prenup after we solve this issue. Thanks. Info. How much does healthcare insurance cost relative to your net income? Info. What is the difference in salary between you two? It does not seem like you're being financially abused. It seems like you recognize that family members help each other. When you lost your job, your parents helped you out. Now it's your turn to help them out. This is not about money for extravagances. This is about health. You should not get married or buy a house together until you are on the same page regarding your finances. I make a bit less than 3 times what he makes, and the insurance costs about 7% of my free income. I don't know how to say it. It's what I get after taxes. It means we may have to save for a bit more time, maybe a year more, if neither of us get any raise. And I would also be fine if he says he doesn't want to put all he can and save some for something he thinks is important. But his issue seems to be more about where the money is going than how much is it. I'm rethinking that after all these comments about him being interested on the money though. Now for the first update. We had agreed on a truce so we could spend holidays in peace, since we were isolated and it was going to just be him and me. Christmas was relatively okay, but the next day my mom sent us some leftovers from their dinner, which turned out to be a full meal that she clearly cooked for us. Fiancé got pissed about it. We argued once again about my parents being controlling. He said they couldn't leave us alone to even have a holiday in peace, and how I wasn't grown up enough to make myself a dinner and my mom had to send food. I'm not a great cook, but I get by and I did make us dinner the night before. I never depended on my mom to feed us. But he brought up other occasions where my mom had sent us food, and that's not something you do for adult children. He also said he can't trust me with the money after what he found out and insinuated he would be the one in charge of our finances once we got married. But he backed off when he saw how mad I got. Long story short, we argued for a couple more days about it, and I ended up leaving the apartment. We didn't officially break up, but it's been several weeks and it looks permanent. He reached out a couple of times to see if I had come to my senses, but every attempt at a talk turned into another argument, and I'm just tired. I rented another place and haven't told anyone about what happened yet, but apparently he did, because I got some nasty messages from a few of his friends. So I guess he already made up his mind. Most of my things are still at the apartment, I hope, so I still have to figure that out. I'm just living day by day. It's hard wrapping my mind around the whole situation because it doesn't make sense to me. It does not seem like a good enough reason to break up a 3-year relationship, but it is what it is. Thanks to everyone who helped me on my original post. I guess you all saw this coming. Edit. Some people came up with the fair point that this is only my POV, which is true, but I don't have a neutral third party to ask about it, because the only people I think know what's happening are my brother and my fiancé's friends. So, not really unbiased. But there's an important thing that I left out because I don't want to think is the reason for all of this, but maybe it is. My parents are not my bio parents. My mom is my bio mom's sister, who looked out for us when things got bad at home, until she took my brother and I in when I was a teenager. Bio mom is an addict, in and out of the picture, but mostly out for the past 10 years. I lent her money about 5 years ago, and I know I'm not ever seeing that money back. I know my brother did the same on a couple of occasions. Does that change everything? Most people are saying it's a normal thing for parents to do, but maybe it's not normal if they are not your real parents? Maybe that's what bothers my fiancé. I never ask because I'm afraid of the answer. Also, he knew about the money I gave my bio mom, so he might see it as a pattern of me freely giving money to my family? Just to be clear, he never said any of it, although I think that's what he meant when he said I can't be trusted with money. But I got so mad didn't delve into the subject. I'm very aware that because of my background, I'm prone to be in abusive relationships. I'm just trying to figure out if it's my family or my significant other. I'm also aware I need to go back to therapy. I stopped during COVID. That was a mistake. Now for some advice before reading the final update. He reached out a couple of times to see if I had come to my senses. Answer should be, yes, we're done. Yep, up along with being a good girl. This is a typical abuser language. You make 2/3 of the income, make most of the bills, and he can't trust you with money? The only person here who is being financially abusive or controlling is him. He is trying to cut you off from normal and healthy relationships in an effort to control you. He sure as hell is not entitled to tell you what to spend your money on when you already pay more than half the bills. If he comes back, kick his behind to the curb. You do not need that kind of abusive, controlling person in your life. There is nothing wrong with a parent sending their child food either. My mom used to send me home with things she cooked for me, and she even made food for my brother and his wife. Frozen casserole so they had a break once in a while. She didn't dictate how or when we should eat it. I bet it's pissed you were paying most of the bills. For Pete's sake. Now for the final update. So last time people were very nice, reaching out and opening my eyes to the situation, and they brought up a lot of things I wasn't thinking about. So I thought you deserve some closure, even if it's not a very positive one. I tried to solve the old apartment issue first, because as some people guessed, I was still paying for it, mostly to avoid a conversation. I texted him asking for a good time to go over and pick up my stuff and talk about financial agreements. He called me immediately and asked if I was breaking up with him. Like, you did it already? So we started arguing over the phone, until he suggested I come over so we could settle things properly. So I went by myself. Such a good idea. Surprising nobody. Talking in person didn't change anything, and we kept fighting just the same. Except he was becoming more and more aggressive because I was standing my ground in us breaking up. He said some pretty harsh and offensive things, which he never did before. And it hurt, but it only confirmed my decision. Until he said that he talked to my brother about us, and that totally set me off. He said my brother agreed with him that my parents were overbearing and even agreed to back off for a while to let me grow up. I guess he thought that having my brother on his side would convince me he was right. It was such an obvious lie, but I was suddenly filled with utter terror that my brother shared his opinion about me, or would want to get away from me, or I don't know. I knew it wasn't true, but at the same time, the mere idea of a world where this would happen completely shattered me. I don't know. Anyway, I started to hyperventilating while he was talking, and since I was unable to respond, he just went on and on about how things were going to work from now on, and worse things I don't want to repeat. At some point, I just dissociated, like I used to when I was a kid and the abuse got really bad, and can't remember almost anything after that. All I remember was pressing the phone on my face really hard. Apparently, I called sister-in-law at her work and didn't say anything, so she sent my brother to check on me, and he took me to the hospital. I'm getting better now, but I'm having a lot of PTSD episodes. Mostly I'm having a hard time accepting how we could be so manipulative, and I never knew. My brother and sister-in-law think he set me off on purpose, as he knew my past and all my triggers. I don't want that to be true. But I have a flash of memory where I'm crawling away from him because I couldn't speak, and he just sort of laughed and kept talking. I know memories from dissociative episodes can't be trusted though. I finally went to the older apartment over the weekend again with my brother and his friends and took everything that's mine. My ex was nowhere to be seen, and it looked like he hasn't been over in a while. This week I'll talk to the landlord about the rent, and my brother is helping me deal with our joint account. We don't have anything else connecting us, so I think that's it. I've been on medication, which I hate, but I like to think I've overcome worse scenarios. I guess at the end, my ex kind of had a point about me being emotionally dependent on my family. He just missed the target. Thanks to everyone who gave advice and tried to help. I won't be updating this anymore. Now for closing comments. I'm so sorry he treated you like that. Give your sister-in-law and brother and especially your parents a hug as soon as it's safe. You should feel proud you stood up so well. Stood up for yourself and for your family. Your ex had no point about you being dependent. He was just trying to bring you down and isolate you. Having family to lean on during a difficult time like this is a completely natural thing to do. None of those things he said had any basis in reality. I'm very sorry this happened to you, but you're already moving on and doing a great job. You are stronger than you think. Good luck. I read all of your posts, and I'm so glad you have such a strong and supportive family structure. I'm also glad you didn't let that little turd ruin your relationship with your amazing supportive family. I hope things get better for you from here. Thank you so much. I hope so too. My brother and sister-in-law think he set me off on purpose, as he knew my past and all my triggers. And he was laughing at one point? He's a sociopath. File a restraining order now. Well, I can't be sure about that. I don't have a clear memory about it. My first thought is that it was a fight that got out of hand. He hasn't contacted me ever since. Now for the last story. Father-in-law is living with us. It's driving me crazy and slowly destroying my family life and my mental health. Bit of background. Me, female 30, live with my long-term partner, male 30, and our little boy. My partner's parents moved back from abroad last year, and they were staying with my partner's brother, sorting out where they were going to live. And then in October last year, they had a huge fight and decided that they were going to separate. My partner's brother chucked his dad out and allowed his mom to stay. And we were not given any choice but to take his dad in. I have never really got on with his dad, and I didn't want his dad to stay with us as I knew that things would end up how they are now. His dad has savings and a small income, so could afford to rent a small place somewhere, but my partner would not let his dad do this. I was overruled when I said that I didn't want him to stay. My partner said that as soon as his dad gets a job, he can find somewhere to live. But he is being unrealistic in the jobs he wants to get. His dad has now been with us for 4 months, and there has been mounting problems ever since. His dad is very controlling. He has tried to take over all the day-to-day running of the house, which I have kicked back at, as it is not his house. I'm not against him helping out, but not to take full control. His dad also likes to stay up for the majority of the night, so sleeps until at least midday. Luckily, my son is still able to go to nursery during the week, but we have to try, I don't bother anymore, to keep him quiet at the weekend so my partner's dad can sleep. He undermines us constantly with our little one. For example, we will ask our little one to do something, or he will be in the process of doing something, and my partner's dad will distract him or try to get him to do something else. He will tell our son not to listen to mommy and daddy. He will also get our son to break the rules, such as no throwing balls in the house, no sliding down the stairs, and other things like that. He has also got a thing about our son being underweight. Our son is not underweight. He is a healthy, very active, petite kid who eats loads. However, he is trying to take on a role of getting our son to eat. I am furious, and I have discussed this with my partner, and he doesn't see it as a problem. But I am so annoyed, as it is not his father's place to do anything. So ultimately, I am frustrated, angry, feel like I'm being judged constantly in my parenting skills by his father. My mental health is suffering. My relationship with my partner and my child is suffering. I feel like I can't be the mom I want to be, as I constantly feel anxious and on edge. I feel uncomfortable in my own home. I don't feel like I can relax. I have spoken to my partner a few times now about it, and he just tries to blow me off most of the time, and that he doesn't understand where I'm coming from. That a lot of it is just in my head. That his dad is trying to find a job, etc., etc. It came to a head last night where we had another massive argument about it. I don't think I can even be the same room as his dad anymore, as I don't think I can control myself, as I just want to tell him to get out of my house. It has got to the point where if I never see my partner's father ever again, it wouldn't bother me. So where do I go from here? I have thought about leaving, but I don't want to leave my child or uproot my child from a normally fun and loving home. Now for the top advice before reading the little update. Sit down with Hubs with father around. Tell Hubs you can't live this way. If you have family you can stay with, take the baby and go relax for a bit. Get a hotel if you need to. Let Hubs know you will be back when father-in-law leaves. Father-in-law doesn't plan to leave, and I think you have a sense about that too. The fact that you weren't even asked and shut down several times about him to leave isn't okay. Also, this isn't a loving, fun home. Baby has a mother whose mental health is suffering. Baby has a grandfather who undermines mom at every turn. The fact that you weren't even asked and shut down several times about him to leave isn't okay. Yeah, that would be such a major deal breaker for me. Her wishes were totally ignored in a marriage. Sounds like the husband is an a-hole that doesn't care about her opinion. You don't have to go through this. You are a second-class citizen in your own home, like a child with no say. On the top of that, your authority as a parent is being demolished, which is very bad for the kid. And your role as an equal in the house is gone. For all that, I'd tell your husband that you can't take it anymore, and that if by Friday morning father-in-law is not out, then you and the kid will be out. No need to make a big scene. Just as calmly as you can inform him of your decision. Whatever he says, you just say, yes, yes, but if he's not gone by Friday morning, we are leaving, and try to kill the conversation. Why? Because your husband doesn't listen to words anymore, and therefore you should start talking him through actions. So if Friday morning you wake up and father-in-law is still there, you don't argue, you don't get into any debate, you don't make a scene. pack a bag and go. You have no other option. Living like this is hell. He is making you do this, basically. This will not change until you leave. You can't give an ultimatum. You can't even have a conversation. You need to leave. It is possible that your partner, odd word in a relationship where your mate treats you like the maid, will come to his senses until you have gone. He will never make the right choice about his father if you don't. Update. Just wanted to thank you all for the replies. My current plan of action is to get some legal advice regarding custody of my child, and also about our house as we have joint ownership, but we are not married. Once I know where I stand when it comes to this, I will sit down with my partner and discuss everything covered in this and how it has and is affecting me and our son. Then give him an ultimatum that his father needs to move out in 30 days, or me and our son will be moving out and not returning until his father is gone. My mom lives locally and has said that we can stay for a month or two while we find somewhere more permanent if required. Also, that some sort of couples counseling will be on the cards too. Thanks everyone. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.